latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. And so yesterday, Trump and allies finished off Thomas Massey's congressional career. So half a dozen Indiana state senators, a sitting U.S. senator from Louisiana, sitting member of Congress, 12-year incumbent, the most expensive House primary in history, and with an eye towards next week and John Cornyn's future, another sitting United States senator. And to that end, Trump announced yesterday he is endorsing Ken Paxton in that race. J.D. Vance, in his wide-ranging press briefing, addressed President Trump's endorsement of Ken Paxton.
Thanks, Nick. First of all, I think the president's very gratified by the response that he's heard from the base and from a lot of voters, I think, who are passionate about Ken Paxton. We think Ken Paxton is going to be a great senator for the people of Texas, but most importantly, a great United States senator who can work on solving the problems that all of us confront as a country together. I've known John Cornyn for a long time, but unfortunately, you know, when it really counted, Ken Paxton was there for the country, was there for the president, and that's why he ultimately earned the president's endorsement. He thinks he's going to be a better senator, thinks he's going to make a better candidate, and so I do think it sends a message, but really not just the endorsement, but one of the things the president has done very effectively, going back 10 years in his leadership of the Republican Party and the country as president of the United States, is he said, you know, I want people who fight for the good.
For more on this, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-author with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Dan. By the way, no comment.
No comment on anything midterm related? You're not getting away with that.
So, look, I think, look, I love this president. I've worked with him. He's been very good to me and really great for the country. I don't understand the Cornyn decision. John Cornyn is somebody back when I was running and started Club for Growth. We endorsed John Cornyn. Now, look, John Cornyn is no big hero in Congress. He always voted the right way, though. He's a quiet man. He did his job. He was always with us on the major issues when we needed his vote. And unfortunately, Paxton is a bad guy. This is just a bad guy. He's in the hip pocket of the trial lawyers. His personal life is bad.
Yes.
And what's happening, by the way, even if people disagree with me on that, and I know like some of the MAGA people really love Paxton. I think he's a bad guy. But why do this? Republicans are not going to have to spend $50 million to get this guy elected. Right now, the betting markets have it at 50-50 that the Democrats may, for the first time in 15 years, win a statewide election because this guy Paxton is crazy. And so, whereas if he had endorsed Cornyn, Republicans would have had to spend nothing. I mean, Cornyn would have won easily. So this makes no sense to me, Mr. President. I think you made a mistake here, and I don't. It'd be one thing if Cornyn was a really bad guy who voted the wrong way on all sorts of things, but he doesn't. I think Trump was mad at him. You may know the backstory better than I do. Because, what did Cornyn do? Actually,
well, he's done it. I mean, there's a couple of things. One, don't forget when we were rolling into the 2024 cycle, John Cornyn was one of those who said it's time to move on. It's time for the party to move on beyond Trump. So he didn't vote. When
it comes to Trump.
Well, I know, right? He didn't vote. It's not like he voted for impeachment, but he certainly wasn't complimentary of Trump, and I'm sure that wasn't forgotten. The other thing, though, I think it's really as much about Cornyn. It's as much about Thune as it is Cornyn, because of course Thune and SRCC is backing John Cornyn, and he said yesterday that will continue, but it's going to be in defeat. It looks like because. I think Trump is frustrated with Thune's inability to get people on board to pass the Save America Act. And if that includes having to, quote unquote, nuke the filibuster, then that's what it includes. And I suspect that Cornyn may be one of those who is resistant to that position.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, Dan, because I'm going to say something that'll probably make some of your listeners angry. I think getting rid of the filibuster is the stupidest idea I've ever heard. It is crazy. It is a danger to our freedoms. And if the Democrats sweep in 2028, which they could very easily do. I mean, who knows what the future holds? I mean, they're going to get rid of the filibuster. Look.
Well, right, but wait. So just hold on a second. So this is like Iran. This is preemptive de-escalation. What's it? Wait, preemptive de-escalation or something like that. But if you can cede that if and when Democrats regain control of the Senate, that they will eliminate the filibuster, then why wouldn't you beat them to the punch?
Well, they will try to, but we will have a very strong philosophical and moral case against doing it.
Moral case against the left? A moral case? What does that matter?
But look, Dan, I would want to make it 75 votes to vote to pass legislation. I want to make it as hard as possible for Congress to pass laws, and we've got too many conservatives who say they want to make it easier to pass laws. Most laws that Congress passes are bad, and so I look. If we had not had the filibuster, we wouldn't have right to work laws anywhere in the country. The Democrats would have passed all of these laws. They would have passed universal health care.
I got it. Statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C. and all the rest of the.
Exactly.
No, I get it.
They would have done that, and if it had not been for the filibuster. So I'm totally against this. I think it's a horrible idea, and I've always been against it. I've been against that we've been debating this for 30 years. So I just will conservatives be very careful of what you wish for. I mean, look, we are not a democracy. We are not a democracy. We're a representative form of government. We don't have mob rule. It's not majority rule. The founders set up a system to make it as difficult as possible for the majority to run over the rights of the minority, and that's one of the hallmarks of our system, Dan. I have to give you a civics lesson this morning.
No. No, but look, I'm inclined to your position and have been, but I've been moving on it just because, thinking about when Harry Reid blew up the filibuster for judicial nominees, and that provided a response in kind from Republicans. Is the net of that a worse situation when it comes to federal judicial nominations and Supreme Court nominations? I don't know. I don't know that it's material, but here's the thing. Go ahead.
Even on Supreme Court nominees, I think it should take a supermajority. These are the most important people in America making the most important decisions. Why not have be 60 or 67 votes to get these people confirmed? But look, more laws is a bad thing. To make it easier to pass more laws is going to lead to a lot of bad legislation that is going to violate our freedoms as Americans, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm against it. I really am.
All right. Okay.
But by the way, you know what? Let me just say something. Everyone agrees. Like, this is an 80-20 issue that we should have voter ID.
Right.
They're going to probably pass voter ID in California on the ballot in November, and it'll probably pass easily. So my point is, okay, if you don't like the way these people are voting, get rid of them. Vote them out of office. Let's let the Democrats explain to American people why they don't want voter ID. And everyone knows why they don't want voter ID, because they want illegal immigrants to vote.
All right, I'll let you have your say here. Our people need to hear both sides. It's good.
Now, okay?
What's that? Getting off your soapbox?
Okay. Off my soapbox.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit.
I'm disappointed in you. I thought you'd agree with me on this one. You're going wobbly on me.
No, I am wobbly on this. I admit I've moved on this because It seems like sometimes conservatives get tethered to norms for no good reason. I'm a Chesterton's fence guy. Understand why the fence or the norm was there before you tear it down. But looking at where things are and what the trajectory is for the foreseeable future, I don't think we can restrain ourselves when it comes to preemptive action vis-a-vis the left. I really don't.
Yeah, you may be right about that, but I still don't think it's a reason to change all these rules. But we will see. I mean, I don't want to see it happen because I think, look, if the Democrats get in and if there's no filibuster, they will trample all over our rights. I mean, they'll raise the top tax rate to 80%. They'll do the craziest things you ever saw. And I want to make sure that if we're in the minority, we have some rights.
Well, that's what the courts are for too, which is why we need to get our nominees through. But I understand your position. I do. Let me get to where you think the Trump administration is. They had this Trump RX confab this week, trying to address some affordability issues, parallel to this pending issue with Iran. But the New York Times Siena poll out this week shows Trump under 40% approval rating and an upside down on Iran, on affordability, even on ICE and immigration. So what's your advice and counsel from the president on matters economic?
We got to, I hate to sound like Bill Clinton, but I'm going to sound like Bill Clinton for a minute, okay, Dan? I feel your pain. Remember that? And it kind of worked, actually. So I think the problem is when Trump said the other day, and look, I love Trump. He's been amazing to me personally. I love him, but and he's great for the country. But when he said the other day, well, I don't really care about gas prices because we have to disarm, Iran. I mean, that sounded like, a little bit of a kind of elitist statement. And what we need to be saying in the Trump administration is we're doing everything we can to bring prices down. And that includes, by the way, on health care, there are a lot of ways to reduce the fraud that is going on in the Medicaid and Medicare systems in the hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. And incidentally, if you want to bring prices down, one of the most important ways of bringing housing, prices of everything from housing to food to drugs to energy is to stop spending and borrowing so much money in Washington, right? Cut the budget and the inflation rate will come down. And so one idea that Trump has that I think is a good one is to suspend the federal gas tax for a month or two until the prices come down. That'll be some people some relief at the polls. But did you see that article in the Wall Street Journal? It's just an indication of how wasteful these states are in the way they spend money on things like food stamps and Medicaid. That in California, which has exploding costs for Medicaid, you get Medicaid reimbursement for exorcisms. I swear to God.
That's even better than the free teeth for meth addicts. That's pretty good. Exorcisms, huh?
And tribal prayers and all this stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then we wonder, gee, why are the prices so out of control?
Exorcism coverage. That's a new one for me. That's pretty good. Demons be gone in California. Wow. So. The spending piece of it, though, that's just not the orientation here. That is not what's going to happen. We saw how Doge worked out. So,
Right.
So what else do you got?
You mean to bring down prices?
Yeah.
Well, look, I like the idea, for example, in the housing of this is an idea that Laffer and I have been proposing is to allow people to have indexing for capital gains of their if you sell a principal residence. So right now there's just a shortage of housing on the market because we have this stupid capital gains tax that prevents old people like me. I'm 66. We're empty nesters now. We were at a 5-bedroom house. The kids are gone. We'd like to sell our house, but literally, not figuratively, literally, we cannot sell the house because we can't afford to pay the taxes on the house. So half of the gain that we've made in owning our house has been due to inflation. Dan, do you think it's fair to tax people on an inflationary gain?
No.
Yeah, so let's get rid of that. Let's index it for inflation, and then people would be able to. Old folks like me could sell my house, and then I could, move to Florida and play golf every day.
Exactly right. Well, that's the play. And then
that house could be bought by young people. Look, when I bought my first house when I was 31 years old with my wife, we didn't have much money. We scrounged together enough money to put up a down payment for a $125,000 house, and it was just a little shack. But once you get a house, then you can start building up. But I have two sons that are in their early 30s. They can't even possibly find a house that they could afford right now.
Well, and by the time you get to Florida, Ron DeSantis will have eliminated property taxes on your homesteaded house, so then you're really sitting pretty.
Oh, my God, I can't wait.
All right. Steve Moore, now I want you to think about this phrase and apply it beyond Iran to the Senate. Retaliatory preemptive de-escalation. I just want you to think about that.
In other words, we bomb them first, right?
Yeah, basically. Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Dad. Have a great weekend. Bye.
You too. And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in.